Hi everyone, it's Renee Hauser from Read, Write, Think with Renee. Let's think together on how we can create student-centered libraries, ones that engage readers so that they can become independent readers who read, write, and think about their reading. We're going to think a little bit about why this is important, whether you're at home creating at-home libraries or whether you're creating libraries in schools. The more we do anything in life, the better you get at it. So the more you read, the better you get at reading. So part of the reason why we want to create student-centered libraries is to increase the amount of pages and the amount of books that kids read. And I really truly believe there is a book out there for every single reader. So our job is to set up reading environments that provoke and engage readers to want to read. The second thing to think about that's really important in increasing engagement and volume and independence with readers is choice. When kids have a choice to read what they want to read and what they can read, they will read. So let's design libraries that give kids a lot of choices that match their affinities and who they are as people. Despite the cliche, we actually do judge books by their cover. So when you're thinking about displaying books or creating a student-centered classroom or at-home library, displaying books with their spine facing out does save space. But if you've ever really tried to look at a book and do this kind of awkward head tilt thing, you can't really see what the book is about. So I'm absolutely saving space here with these books, but for students who are pre-print readers, that means they're emergent readers and they're taking in the world of the story through images. For emergent readers who are pre-print readers, that means they're taking in the world of the story through all the images the authors and illustrators give us, or they're taking in all the information the authors and illustrators give us. So that means if you take a look at this information or this information, which one do you feel like you would rather choose or you would be drawn to? So you want to think about that idea of setting up kids so that they can browse and see the covers of books in really enticing ways. So that means you might absolutely be sacrificing some of your shelf space, but if a book is just sitting collecting dust and not being actively read, why bother having it even out? Let's think about removing all of these books and displaying them in ways that show off their cover so kids can easily browse and access the contents of the book. In order to display books with this idea of covers facing out so that students can easily browse them, you want to think a little bit about organizational systems. Bins are a really great place to start with thinking about how to organize your at-home or in-school library. I happen to like clear and transparent bins because you can see what's inside the bin. So if I take all of those books that were on my shelf, right, and I stack them in the book, in the bin, so even if you can't see completely in that transparent bin, you can see, and watch how easy it is for me to browse. I can just flip through and browse the books very easily, as opposed to doing that kind of awkward head tilt to see what's on the spines. So you don't really want to overcrowd your bins. You want to be able to flip through these bins pretty easily so that kids can see, they can be able to take out a book and put it back in their browsing. These bins happen to be large, so they can house some pretty big or large picture books. And I also like the fact that these bins have handles, so readers can take them from one spot to the other and browse and put them back. These bins are from Ikea. They're very reasonable. I'll place all these links in the comments below. And I really like these bins. However, if I place book cover out inside this large green bin, you lose a little bit of it just because the lack of transparency, as opposed to if I put that same bin in this transparent bin, I can see almost all of the cover. So these bins are really nice for housing books that aren't out in your rotation. So another good idea is to think about books, keeping your library fresh and having types of books that you're cycling through, either a series of books or content of books or a particular author, or books that go with a season. It's a good idea to have some books kind of out of circulation so that your library kind of freshens up every once in a while and brings a whole new level of engagement and interest. This large bin has a sister smaller size bin, and it also has those handles so that kids can pick up these bins and move them around at home. It can go from my bedroom to the bathroom to my fort or wherever you want to go, or in the classroom it could go from the classroom library to my table back to the classroom library. So keeping these bins really mobile, small hands can fit in here, and you would probably only put as many books in, again, that kids can handle and move these independently on their own. So tip number 1, think about organizing books covers facing out so that the cover really sells itself to readers, that they can browse through these bins pretty easily and see the contents of the books inside. Tip number 2 is think about how will you label and organize these bins so that readers can be in charge of organizing the library and replacing books after they're done. So a labeling system might be something to think about. Placement of your bin, placement of your label is something to think about. You could argue that I could absolutely fit several of these bins on one shelf, and I could therefore put the label on this side, and maybe a more traditional chapter books, if you have older students, kind of chapter books would fit in that way. For this particular bin, I'm organizing this library for a 5-year-old, so I'm going to place the label on the side, and it's going to match the series that's inside of it. So this bin happens to be full of Pout Pout fish, and I basically just took a photo, or you can import probably an image from Google Images, and created a label Pout Pout fish. So I'm creating a library for a 5-year-old, and she is preprint, so I want to use as much image, I want to use as many images that I can, and print to match what's inside. Readers can, when bins labels match the cover, readers can read, return the book, and return it to the library. Or maybe your cat can help you too. There are several different things to consider when you are creating organizational systems and labels for your bins, and I would highly recommend involving the readers who you're creating the library for, whether it's your children at home or whether it's your students in school. This is an excellent opportunity to involve them in creating their own library. When you're organizing the stacks and stacks of, when you're organizing your books to create a system for yourself, you might start to name what kinds of books you have. So you could create just a very generic series we love bin, and all the series that you love go in this bin. Or you might have a specific series that you like, or you might have a specific series like Pout Pout Fish. You might have a particular genre. This is mystery fiction, and it's not any, it could be any mystery. We happen to have a couple. We have Cam Jansen in here, Inspector Hopper, and High Rise Private Eyes. So these are all mystery. So we just have a mystery label for our general mystery bin. We've also got topics to explore. So here we have an animals bin. And we've got an oceans bin. You could consider favorite authors. specific series, a genre that you like, or topics that you want to explore. There are lots of different ways that you can organize categories and then create bins to match those categories that reflect the readers you're organizing the library for. Even though you're creating an independent reading space, you might also consider a couple of different activities for students to engage in. This happens to be a bin full of math and counting books, so I've also included just a 120 chart and some counters, and obviously though that type of activity has already been explored together, so this is now ready to become an independent bin that readers and mathematicians can explore. There might be a math or numbers section in the library that you're creating. The last tip for now is to personalize the library you're creating for readers in your life. Another way of personalizing your library is to have photographs of the readers reading books for your library. So whether that's at home or in classroom, imagine having photos of readers reading throughout the library spaces that you are creating. Part of personalizing your library space is to make it comfy. Maybe you have some pillows, beanbag chairs, some soft lights, some plants. Make the space inviting that readers want to spend time in it and enjoy reading books that they've chosen and want to read. A couple of tips to think about creating student-centered libraries for the readers in your life, whether that's at home or in schools. Let's display books covers facing out so that students can actively browse and really take in the images the author and illustrators are giving us. Let's imagine an organizational system that students can navigate on their own. Bins and labels are really helpful in that organizational system. And 3, let's personalize and make the space comfy so that readers want to read. For more information on creating student-centered libraries, check out the readwritethink.com website. There may even be a little starter kit for you to start creating bins and labels and organizational systems that match the readers in your life. Good luck, have fun, get the readers involved, create it together, and let's keep reading, writing, and thinking together.